That looks kind of sexy in the sunlight. Greetings, the Astro 30 here. Today's little job is to do, well, I guess you could say the hardest part, which is doing the hardware, mounting the internal panels, pieces of aluminium that I need to mount boards on transformers and stuff onto, and mount the heatsink for the power amplifiers to the case as well. Now, the other thing I want to try and attempt to do is drill and tap 4 M3 holes in the top and bottom. So one on either side at the top and one on either side at the bottom, where these blind holes are that don't have a screw going through them, because that just looks tacky. So, and I'm pretty sure all the rack cases I've dealt with in the past are exactly the same as this, with no tapped hole there. For whatever reason, best known to them, not going to go into it. So that's going to be my little job for the day, mainly because I don't really have anything else to do. I did buy a bunch of components, about $80 worth, for the power supply. The micro PC 1327 IC came in yesterday. I'm still waiting on the 10,000 mic at 50 volt filter caps to come in, and of course the transformer. But I've got every other part except those and the FR 107s, I think they are now, I can't remember offhand. But the fast recovery diodes for the power supply. So first thing I'm going to do is, I do have another 3mm tap, even though I've broken one. I do have a spare one, and this is only mild steel, so it's not going to break. What I'll do is I'll turn it over and do the bottom side first, because, well, if I muck it up and it doesn't work or it strips out, I know not to do it on the top where you can see it. So I'll get that started now. This sunlight's wonderful. Haven't seen the sun in a while. I do believe that this drill bit is now blunt. Wow, really? Did mar it a bit. Looks like I might have to buy more drill bits. I actually think 2.5 would have been the best size to use, not 2. Seeing as my 2mm drill bit is blunt as buggery, I might go up to 2.5, because there should still be enough of a thread there. This is why I'm doing the bottom first, because if I bugger it up, it's not going to matter too much. That was a bit sharper. Feels like it's biting now. That's better. So for an M3 screw tap, you need a 2.5mm hole, not a 2mm hole. It's just too tough on the tap. And I do believe that I have tapped a hole, albeit at a crooked angle. Looks like we've got some threads there. I'll just find the screws. Yeah, it does up. Right, so that's all the holes tapped. in both the top and bottom panels now, so I can take those screws out. Yeah, so that worked out a little bit more better than I originally thought. I don't know when this video is going to be uploaded because I currently don't have any internet service at the moment. I'm currently waiting on a modem that should have been delivered yesterday but didn't, so I don't know where it is, but I was told by 5 o'clock last night it should be here, and well, it's not. I mean, my service is ready to go because I've changed services, but no modem. So yeah, I can't really do much about it until I get a modem. So that's what I think of that. Okay, so now, oh, that stunk. I should probably take the bottom panel off or shake out the contents first outside of all the metal shavings. Take the bottom off so I've got access to the hole internals. And there it is, naked. Okay, so I've got the power amp modules which are going to sit on this bar at the front. Once I take off these standoffs, of course. Now, something a little bit up with my measurement there. That's strange. Okay. Okay, got some progress. The heatsink's now mounted top and bottom, which was a bugger of a job because these hole spacings are actually 12mm, not 10. So I'd actually measured my two ends of the heatsink at 10mm in from each edge, which is completely wrong. No, they are actually 10mm apart, so I don't know what my issue is. Maybe there is something strange about this heatsink. Oh well, I just drilled 4mm holes in the heatsink there for the screws to pass through and just reamed them out side to side a bit just to massage it to fit in. It's nice and solid, it's not going anywhere. The support bar is in. I found the measurement for that is, well, I wanted roughly 200mm from here to that bar, and I wanted roughly 260 to the back bar, or in this case the front bar, so it's leaving about 30 odd millimeters from the front panel, and that's to mount the transformer plate and power supply board. So I found the measurement for this bar was 102mm from the very front edge. The easiest way to have measured that was I tightened this screw once I had that bar 200mm from the front, sorry, the rear, and this one is backed all the way up towards the back of the case as it can, so that's all the way back as far as it goes. Then I just measured from the center of that screw to the edge, that's 102. Now the hard problem, or the hard part, was measuring where this bar comes down to for the center of the hole. So I measured it several different ways with several different measuring tools, including the set square, measured on the inside and roughly guesstimated that it was 13mm down. So that is the only modification to the case structurally that I needed to make, and that was going to be the hard part, the bugger of a job to work out, but it's done. So I've got these two pieces of aluminium which I need to cut out, one to fit under the power amp and so I can mount the preamp and all that sort of stuff to it, and of course one on the other side which goes 260 from that bar to that bar, and however wide, to mount the transformer and the power supply module. So we'll just assume for reference that's where the power supply is mounting, probably a bit further back. There is still plenty of room up here for the transformer. It's going to be about yay big. So now I guess the time is to decide what I'm doing next. Well, that's one panel cut, and I'm going to have a big massive wank about that because that is perfectly square. I don't trust this T-square to be accurate because it's not, but it's not bad that way, not bad that way, and not bad that way. I've got another one to cut yet, but first I'm going to drill out this one so I can mount it in the bottom of the case, work out where the power amps are mounted, then probably mount it. But yeah, that's my progress so far. Okay, just doing the test bit of the power amplifier in the case on the plate that I just put in. It lines up almost alright. It's not putting any undue stress on the board. However, the board is tilting back at a slight angle because of the where these transistors are. Now, either one of my measurements is out, probably from the bottom was out. I can't really fix it now, but see, it's not perfect. It's like about a mil out at the back. Now, two schools of thought here is I could probably change those spaces to maybe something else, like maybe just put a bolt through with a nut on top, just to bring that down level, take some stress off the board. As I say, this is only a test fit, this is not the final fit. I'm just seeing how things line up and what my progress is so far. So far that's what I've got. These transistors aren't bolted in, the screws are just passing through the hole just to, you know, give me a point of reference. So it is coming on. I've got one plate done. I've still got the larger one on the other side to do yet. Good thing is, even though that some of the measurements might be slightly off on that plate, it's not pulling it out of square. The case, that is, it's not pulling it out of square, so it's still, the top still looks good when it's put on top of it. This is the back, by the way. That's the front, if you remember. So that's what's occurring now. So yeah, I've just got the well, roughly 260mm long by whatever distance in here I'm going to make it. I'm not going to take it all the way up to the edge of the case if I can avoid it. So that goes there. I don't know, what do you think? 200mm wide? That should be more than long enough, or wide enough to house the transformer. Yeah, about 220. Do I want to take it all the way up to this edge though? Well, I suppose I can, but the only problem with doing that is I need to be able to get my fingers in here to put a nut on there to do it up. So having it that close to the edge of the case there is going to make it awfully difficult. So I might bring it back, well, to this fifth hole along. So that will make it 185 max if I butt it up against this one. So 185 max, which should be wide enough, because if this board can fit just, oh yeah, just nicely across that width, then there's plenty of room. It can even be mounted over there. So yeah, I'll make it 185 wide. Is, yeah, 260, and I can always move this bar around at the front here to get that in perfect alignment. So yeah, by 260. So 185 by 260 is how big that plate's going to be, which is going to be fun to cut. I'm not wasting the offcuts, I'm keeping them aside. I might find a use for them down the track. I'm not going to leave it there though, of course. I'm going to put it somewhere else, but yeah. Okay, that's the progress so far, though. I'm going to keep on going. Alright, and a short time later, this is my second panel cut, filed and you know, whatever else, deburred. Got to drill some holes in it yet to mount into the case, but it's 260 high by 185 wide, and it is perfectly square. So I'm happy about that. Well, yeah, there we go. It's all still square, and I have my second panel in. Yes, there is a tiny little bit of an overhang, probably a millimetre on this side and, well, close to 3 on that. But does it matter? Nope, because once the panel is on, or the lid is on, you're not going to notice. There we go. This is whether it's the correct way around. This is the front, and those will have to be loosened off a bit because they're a bit tight now that the case has been pulled about in very many different directions. You'll be putting pressure on the bar, the sides of the case will be putting pressure on the bar. That's alright. Still moves, so I can manoeuvre it around. Anyway, that's going to be it for me today. I don't think I'm going to do much more to this, because I've gotten to the stage now where I've just had enough, because metalwork does take it out of you. But for point of reference, even if I put it all the way over there, put the board the right way round, that is pretty much how I was going to have it all mounted. Well, the bits I've got so far anyway, power supply all the way over here, as far away from the sensitive electronics as possible, and the transformer here, that'll have to come forward a bit. Got to watch, there is a bar here, so where I drill these holes for mounting the circuit board, I've got to make sure I've got plenty of clearance from this bar, or else I'm not going to get the screw in there. There should just be enough room to mount the toroidal here at the front, or at the back. I keep saying the front, I don't know why. That gives me about, from the edge of that, that gives me 140 maximum from here to here. And those 300 VA transformers aren't any larger than 110, I think 120 max in diameter, so I'm not going to need 140. So the transformer will fit just nicely here, AC wires going into here from the secondary, and yeah, so I'm quite happy with how this is progressing. This was the bit I was dreading, because this is the one thing I hate having to do, is doing casework and metalwork and cutting out pieces of aluminium and getting it straight and square and all that. In retrospect, a piece of probably 24 gauge would have been better. This is about 2.5mm thick, something like that. I think I've got my gauges the correct way round. Anyway, and one that was slightly larger, or about this big, and then just, you know, cut out a U or an L-shaped piece out the corner here where the heatsink is, and that probably would have been a lot better than all this. But because it's a higher gauge, it's harder to work with and harder to cut. Now, this 18 gauge aluminium should be enough to support the weight of the transformer. It's not going to cause it to bend. So yes, as I said, I'm happy with the progress. I think everything's going to fit nicely. I've got plenty of room up here to run signal wires for the pots, plenty of room up here to run mains wiring. The case is still in pieces, as you can see. I've taken the front sub panel off to make it easier to get the things, because I'll be putting that on last. Now, the power amps are not going to be staying in here. I've got to modify those standoffs at the front to bring it down level, because I don't want to leave it like that. So I'll come up with a different plan for that. That'll be in another video, not this one. And they're coming back out, and no electronics is going to be mounted into the case, probably even pop off the back panel, because I'm going to drill the front panel, and the rear panel can be drilled off the case, but I'm going to drill the sub panel with it on the case. And I've come up with an idea of how the hell do we keep the separate front panel that sits on the front here, the holes in alignment with the holes in the sub panels. Like, how do we measure it to make it all line up without, you know, measuring the entire panel, taking the width of this edge and then adding 10-15mm for here and here, etc., so we know what the inside edge is compared to the outside edge, and a square, and blah blah, mark it all out. The easiest method would be to drill the front panel first with pilot holes, like 2.5mm, say, for instance, and then just bolt it to the front panel, or to the case. Line it up, because these slots do allow you to maneuver the panel up and down a bit, so you want to get that as central as possible. Do it up from the back, which is a pain. Have the sub panel all the way forward as it is now. Screw them down tight so it doesn't move backwards. And then just pass the drill bit through the pilot holes you've already made in the actual front panel and drill it out into the sub panel. And when you take the front panel back off, you've got your pilot holes in the sub panel in the right place, and you just drill them out to size and add any extra holes for pot locating pins and stuff, so they can't rotate around on themselves, and then you're done. And then just drill out your main front panel to the correct sizes to allow the shafts and stuff to all pass out to the front. Thanks for watching. I'm the Astro 30, and as always, if you like this video, please remember to rate, comment and subscribe below, and you can always follow me on Facebook and Twitter. The links are in the description as usual. Anyways, this is the Astro 30 saying, see ya, have a great day, and I'm not your Darlington.